Have you ever wanted to be in a martial arts movie and be like the main character where they can beat up 10 guys without being touched? Well, Sifu throws you right into those shoes and puts you on a kung fu revenge tale where age is nothing but a number. Well, not exactly, it's a bit more, but that comes later. Sifu is a punishing yet rewarding game that gives you an experience unlike any other. You'll have to master the art of the beatdown and the art of not trying to throw your controller across the room. If you're looking for a casual button masher, then this ain't it. But if you want to crave a deep combat system that rewards patience and skills, then Sifu will not only make you rage, but become your new obsession. But is Sifu worth your time? Well, before we go any further, welcome to Stay Tuned on Gaming, where I'm your host Damien, and I get to talk about video games for as long as I want. And today I'm going to be talking about the martial arts experience is Sifu. If you like the video, please comment down below and subscribe to the channel will be greatly appreciated. Let's get into the game. When it comes to the story of Sifu, it's actually pretty simple. You play as a young student on a revenge mission against 5 assassins who murdered your father. It's a very simple premise, but it's executed with a lot of style. There's not a lot of dialogue and a lot of stuff that's told to you through a lot of cutscenes. Most cutscenes are pretty short, but the story unfolds through the environmental storytelling and the many clues that you'll find throughout the levels. You will start to unravel the mystery behind the assassins as well as your own father's past, which adds a little bit of an extra layer to the game's experience. And again, you'll visit these levels again and again, find new pieces of information, eventually filling up your big conspiracy board to see how everyone is connected, why did they do this, and exactly what is going on and where they are now. It's a very simple story, and again, you might not get all the answers you want, as sometimes Sifu does leave certain things up to its interpretation. But it does leave you with a really satisfying end. I really liked a lot of the story, and again, it's pretty simple, but what is there is pretty good. It's just a good motivator for you to get into the story and play it. And again, you eventually come up to face each assassin, defeat them, and eventually come up to the big bad himself and very much fight him. The graphics themselves are also pretty good. It boasts this very like traditional Chinese aesthetics, but it also has like a modern comic book flair. The environments and the levels are probably some of the best the game has. It bursts with color and detail. Every level has something different to offer. You have the grimy underbelly of the nightclub, and then you have the very beautiful museum that has a lot of beautiful art and statues and stuff, which really brings every level its own uniqueness. I just kind of love it. The game never ever made itself to be a graphical powerhouse, but it was every single time it was just so impressive to look at, especially with the character models as well. Since you're going to have to be doing a lot of movement, dancing around, the character models are actually pretty good, and you make sure you can see which one is going to be the next threat. Every punch, kick, and parry feels impactful, and that's again thanks to the game's excellent animation. And this game's animation is really fast, but also really clean. The music is really well done as well. I liked a lot of the music. I liked the opening theme, and I liked a lot of the other music you have throughout the levels. They were all fantastic as well. And the voice acting, the very little that there is pretty okay. You can play it in either English or in another language, and I felt that the English was fine. It wasn't anything impressive, but I will say I think if you want a little bit of a flair, you can play it in Japanese. But the English is pretty okay. Overall, when it comes to story, graphics, and music, it's a good overall package. I liked a lot of the stuff. But of course, this is just the small little thing that adds in to the gameplay. So let's go where Sifu truly shines. It's gameplay. Now, Sifu at its fault is a beat-em-up game, but it's not like those 90s beat-em-up. It has a combat system that's deceptively simple on the surface, but is actually quite hard to master. It's a delicate dance between offense, defense, and managing your rage. I'll get to that a bit later. Mastering this dance will take a lot of time, but the feeling of finally overcoming a challenging enemy or level is pure exhilaration. Sifu isn't a game where you can brute force your way through it. It isn't even just a game where you can just punch. You have to dodge, parry, block, use the environment are all critical for your success in the game. You gotta learn to weave around attacks, use parkour to reposition yourself, and of course exploit enemy weaknesses. And as for the enemies, they are relentless. They will come at you with everything they have, and there's usually a huge number of them, and they're not always the same. You have your normal grunts, but you also have enemies that are prolific in kicks, where they can like be much faster than you. You have other enemies that are fast and some enemies that are much slower. You got the hulking brutes that can try to catch you. All of them are really tough and really hard to take down. Now, there are two ways that you can basically play Sifu. You can block a lot of attacks, which is good, but blocking too much will fill up your stamina meter, and once your stamina meter is filled up, you're basically vulnerable for attack. Parrying in this game is really important, and that's the one thing you want to be focusing on. As you parry attacks, you basically can do a big counterattack to an enemy, but you can also build up the enemy's stamina meter a lot. Doing this allows you to do a takedown, which can give you back some health and actually reduce your death counter. I'll get to that a little bit later as well. You can also get special skills once you defeat enemies. You gain XP with any enemy kill, and you can gain new skills, which can unlock new moves or even new stuff that you can do with weapons. These are all really good. And you also have a focus meter that you build up during a fight that you can use to basically use the skills, such as blinding an enemy or sweeping the enemy with a weapon or your feet. These are all pretty damn handy and something you'll need to use and focus on during the game. And combat is a little bit crazy. Now, there are things that can help you in combat, like weapons. Weapons are really important in the game. And like I said, once you've unlocked the skills enough, you can actually unlock them permanently throughout the runs. But what am I talking about when it comes to the age thing? Well, here's the twist with the game. You age every time you die. Die once, you age a little. Die a bunch, and let's say you won't become the Kung Fu Master anytime soon, and will probably be in a retirement home. You see, this is the biggest thing about this game, is this death mechanic, and it's quite difficult for you to get around the first time. Once you'll start the game at age 20, and the moment you die, you will be aged 21. You get aged 1 up. But if you die again, you now get aged 2 up. So instead of you be 21, you then die again, you go to age 23. The more you die, the harder the game becomes, and your death counter goes up. You get less health, but you do more damage. And once you get to age 70, it's game over. And that's basically it. Once you reach age 70, you have to either start the same encounter, the level, again from the age you entered, or you have to start the whole game from the very beginning, from the first level. And that's also important. Age is important for how you start and how you end. You start the game off at age 20 on the first level. And if you end that first level at, let's say, age 30, you're starting the next level at age 30. And if you end that level at age 40, the next level you start at will be level 3 will be age 40. So it means that you need to keep your age as low as possible, because once you try to get to the final boss or the final boss in the game, if you're age 70 by that point, you're probably dead. Level designs are great in the game, and levels themselves aren't that long. They're like 20 to 30 minutes. And that's why you can go back and play this game over and over again if you die a lot, which is probably going to happen. Each level is unique and comes with its own challenges. And there are a lot of enemies here that are made just for the levels. Some enemies can be thrown off ledges, so it can be easier. And some levels have other things that can just help you around. There are alternate paths and even secret paths that can all get you to the boss. Once you make it to the end of the level, you basically will fight the boss. And this is where the true difficulty can come in. The boss will either will kick your ass, or it can be really easy. I'm not going to tell you how the museum level kicked my ass when it came to the boss. And the alternate pathways that you can get from items in other levels are actually really good, because once you go back and play these levels again, those alternate pathways will actually give you shortcuts, so you can get to the boss much quicker and skip a lot of the area in the game. You also have shrines that you can get, and these are one-time upgrades for every single run. They don't carry over, meaning that if you die and you go right back at the beginning, they won't carry over for when you start over again, unless you've unlocked certain skills permanently. Only those carry over. But these shrines help you, giving you extra focus meter, or giving you more health when you do takedowns, or even having you the ability to make weapons more durable. These are all things you'll need to use if you really want to get the game successful. And this game is hard. There are moments where I wanted to throw my controller across the screen, because either the camera messed me up at certain places, or I couldn't get it because some of the enemy patterns were so annoying. I can't tell you how many times I replayed that museum level because the boss kept killing me, and how many times I kept getting my aged up a lot when I got to the sanctuary, which is the last level, and it really kicked my ass. I was so annoyed at this game. But like I say, going back and going to the start of the first level, again, levels aren't that long and they're really good. And this game encourages replayability and going back, because certain items unlock certain things. and these basically help you understand the game's story a lot more. That's one thing I really like about this game, is that this game encourages you to die because you get to learn a lot about the game and learn a lot about the enemies that you face as well as the bosses. And again, this game isn't easy. It really isn't. But the difficulty isn't like cheap or random. Enemies do telegraph their attacks a lot with clear animations, and they do give you a window to react. The key is to observe, learn, and adapt. And if you're getting pummeled by the boss for the 10th time, maybe go back into the training mode and try to analyze their attack patterns, practice parrying and dodging. You just go into the training mode. I had to do that a lot for most of this game. But most of the enemies themselves are pretty standard to take down, though some enemies can actually counter your takedown, and then they actually become much stronger and do more damage, which is again just another small thing that tries to throw a hurdle into your plans of trying to beat this game. There are ways you can try to beat this game with the lowest age possible, and you probably can if you get really good with this game. Now once you finish the game, there's actually still a lot to do. You gain access to goals and achievements for each level, like beat the enemy with this level, so get to the certain mini boss of the level at this time or within this age. These are actually pretty good, and these medals are actually fun because they can unlock modifiers and cheats if you want to go back and replay the levels and have some fun. Some modifiers are actually pretty fun, like there's one modifier where you start at age 70 and every time you then regress, which is actually a pretty fun thing. You can also unlock outfits and outfits with these models, and the outfits themselves are pretty fun as well. You can also go back to replay levels if there's anything you've missed or you want to get any items that you haven't if you finish the game. So again, a lot of replayability, and you can try to get high scores on certain levels, unlock new skills that you want to use, or even try to get the super secret ending, which is the true ending of the game, which is actually quite difficult to do. Other than that, there is an arena mode in the game where it's just the main combat of the game, where there's a lot of challenges. Some of them are really fun, and each modifier is something different, like you can't use items, or you can't do takedowns, or there's no blocking or parrying, you'll actually take damage. These arenas are actually really, really fun, and I actually had a really good time with it. The game's difficulty might not be for everybody, and I know the age mechanic can be a divisive aspect of the game. Some people will love it, some people will hate it, and there is actual difficulty modes, like an easy mode that takes the aging out, and then there's the normal mode that you play, and then there's a hard mode, which I don't think there was these difficulty options when the game first came out, but I think they added it into an update. But I really do like the death mechanic itself. But like I said, the game is difficult, and I had to restart the game a lot. When it comes to any bugs or glitches, I only really had one bug or glitch, which was when a boss didn't want to load and I had to restart the level. But again, levels are pretty quick, and if you're really good at this game, you can master this game in like 3 hours, probably less than that. But it's the feeling of dying and going back and getting better at this game that makes it become an obsession. I couldn't put it down. Every time I died, I was like, I can get better. I think I can do this level at getting without being touched. It's so much fun. The arena mode is just as fun. This game became an obsession with mine as I tried to keep my age down as much as possible. I could not get enough of it. And one thing is that every time you die, you start to learn more about the game. You start to do things otherwise that you didn't do before. Like, I never used the focus meter as much, but then I started to learn that I gotta use the focus meter a lot if I really want to get through some fights, especially some boss fights that are really, really annoying. I love the gameplay. It was addicting. It became an obsession. Whenever I died, I was angry because I knew that it was my fault. So if you want a game that's pretty much, I would say, like a Souls game, but is not that difficult and not that long, then this is definitely the game for you. There's really nothing else. There's not like any RPG mechanics in here. It's a very simple game, but it's really much a fun game as well. When it comes to a game like Sifu, it's a game that I loathed at some points, hated, wanted to throw my controller across the screen for. But it's also a game that I could not put down. A game that I just completely fell in love with. The more I died, the more I could prove to the game that I am better than it thinks I am. And I just wanted to keep playing it. It's not a super long game. It's probably 3 hours if you get really good at it, 10 hours or 5 hours if you're not that good at it. But you never want to put the game down. I just kept wanting to play, get my age down as quick as possible. Try to not get hit on this level. Try to beat the boss that kept confusing me. I hated that museum boss with all my heart. But it's not a game for the faint heart. If you're willing to put the work in, Sifu is an amazing game with a brutal yet beautiful experience that celebrates the art of Kung Fu and probably the power of perseverance as well. It's a fun time, and it really is one that you should pick up, whether you can find it in the store or find it on the on a subscription service. It's one that's a really, really good time. I will recommend it if you're just looking for something different or want to act out your big kung fu movie that you've always wanted to be. I give Sifu a must play. And that's the game. Yeah, Sifu was a great time. It's a really, really good game. And it's amazing how simple it is, but how much fun it is at the same time. If you like this type of video and want to see more, please subscribe to the channel, like the video, and of course, comment down below. I'll see you guys in the next game.